I would just want to lay the foundation that lack of education, lack of knowledge or ignorance of what exactly it is, and that there are provisions for it in the law is one of the ways out. You know, then I'll now move before he comes up to say, you know, he's on the card. And I'll move to the angle of denial. You know, abuse is, they tell you it's an Oyinbo man's thing. Like it's an Oyinbo man's language.
Okay, abuse is part of our own society.
Like,
we should not finger it as a problem.
For two people to fight. It's normal for him to hit you. It's normal for her to.
As a matter of fact, it's normal for him to discipline you.
Exactly.
That's the language they use.
Believe you are the one who call it abuse, but this is our ways of putting you right.
Like a child?
Well, because he paid to have you, so he must use the money on you.
We're in trouble. Before a comment, I'd like to just save my thoughts a little bit. But Cyrus, a lady keeps quiet is understandable. Like she said, it's because of him. He paid for. Is his way of correcting you. What is a man's excuse for keeping quiet?
Tomisin, it's a very serious situation for a man. Let me start with the definition of abuse.
Yes.
So abuse in intimate relationship is a pattern of behavior where one partner dominates, belittles, or humiliates the other over months or years. Dominates, belittles, and humiliates. So, looking at this definition, you realize that a lot of people are being abused even without them knowing. They just try and...
Because it's normal to them.
Because it's normal to them. So you understand? So, it's as a result of that that we feel like, okay, I can endure it. I can manage this situation.
It's supposed to be part of life.
This person will change. And unfortunately, an abuser will not change. So far, you are still in it, you are still enduring. There must be a way that you deliver yourself from that person, from that abuser. It can be by walking away, but it can be by, I like to put it in a funny way, but doing 50-50 or calling a friend. But the best way to stop an abuser is to confront the abuse and probably just walk away.
No, but as a man, you still not answered my question. You just defined abuse. But this is a man who is supposed to be brought up in a patriarchal society where you are told already that you are in charge. And then you have a woman who is abusing you on a daily basis. You have a woman who is abusive, both physically, emotionally, psychologically, and you keep quiet. What's your excuse?
For a man, it is maybe our ego is part of our problems. We feel like it's unheard of in this part of the world for a woman to abuse a man, and the man comes out and say, my wife is abusing me. Probably physical abuse, especially physical abuse, is not heard of. My wife is abusing me.
It's an absurdity.
So it's like it's a shameful thing for a man to come out and say, my wife is abusing me. So even if you are saying it, people hardly believe you. It is a words against you. Anytime you even say it, they will look at you. I've seen somebody told me that he was complaining to the family, and everybody there was looking at him as if, are you stupid? Are you man enough? Can't you handle this situation? This is the main reason why a man will just keep quiet and be managing the situation and be expecting that things will change.
I would ask you this question, but you can hold your thoughts there. Is this, however, linked, this silence, is it linked to the health hazards that men finally go through later in life? But let me come back to Wemimo here. That's a man's excuse.
Yeah.
You've mentioned how the man, the abuser, who is the man, also perceives his abuse.
Yes.
Now the woman, like in the case of the lady who was a pastor, the things that holds them back, what is responsible for that continuous endurance of abuse?
Okay, I say that it could also be like maybe the individual believes that the abuse will end. Okay, because when an individual is in an abusive relationship, most of the times you rarely see the other person, especially if the other person has an upper hand economically. You know, either the person is stronger economically, or there is a huge space that the person occupies in your life. So there is every tendency for you to think it's me or it was me. Okay,
And the problem.
And
so
the
usually
person,
women hold the problem.
yeah, the person keeps telling you, you made me do this. And the person keeps looking for ways to buy you back. So those are some of the strategies. They buy gifts, they say sorry, they look for ways, but in between they chip it in, you got me mad,
Angry.
in quote. So when you're dealing with an abuser, you don't take responsibility for their behaviors. Okay? Whether you aggravated it or not, remove that.
You don't
Okay,
accept.
don't take responsibility for it.
What it means is don't accept that you're the one that is wrong.
No. It was
It is not your
never
fault.
you. Okay, so the person, the survivor, because he said we should not be using victim.
Yes,
right?
the survivors.
So the survivor will think, I made him do this. Okay, and then there's also the place of when you are so dependent. Let's put it that way. That's why we say people should be a person of value. Add value to yourself, so that the person will think 2-3 times before he or she begins to maltreat you. Although we know people who are a person of value, but it's just unfortunate they found themselves in the hand of people who just don't value how valuable they are. Okay, but what I'm saying is, if the other person
People who
does
just
not
don't see the value.
in themselves, the thing is, if the person does not value you, you should value yourself.
But this now comes to the issue of societal pressure.
Yes.
And the perception. I also think that one of the reasons why the survivors do not leave that situation, the abusive situation, and develop a culture of keeping silent about it and not talking about it and then enduring it for as long as they get to live, is because of what people would say.
Yeah, there is the place of that's victimization.
They will be scorned. That is real.
Is victim, and that's where we also need to get to a point where the environment, our society, everybody will be educated on this thing called abuse. Don't victimize anybody. Don't laugh at people. Don't make their issue the talk of town. Why? Because both the abuser and the person who is being abused, they need help. So you are not going to be helping the situation. Rather, the circle will continue when you make them the talk of town. So when you know somebody who is undergoing abuse, or you are the one, the best thing is to quietly look for someone you can talk to, or you look for organizations. In this Lagos where we are, the Lagos state government has a system in place that protects, that fights for you. They don't even want to know whether it was your fault. The fact is, they come to save you first, life first. Then they look at the situation.
And brings me to issue again, Cyrus. We were talking about the implication of keeping quiet.
All right.
And I like to look at it from the man's perspective here when I'm talking to you. You keep quiet. The health assets are there. You know there is a safe home. You know you have family members. You know you have friends. But you don't reach out to them. What's the likely implication of such?
I didn't get that really.
Now, this is what I'm saying. You're a man.
Yeah.
You were abused. You're being abused. You choose to keep quiet because you said ego, right?
Yeah, probably ego, or what people will say, the society.
Societal pressure,
Yeah.
and the way the society gets to scorn such people.
Yes.
I heard you whisper that thing that it happens to men too. How do you mean?
It happens to men even more, because when this happens, oftentimes a man will not. I saw a video of a guy that did a skit or a skit, let me call it a skit like that. And it did two. One, the lady was abusing the guy. And everywhere that happened, people came to rescue the lady, even attacking the guy. On the other hand, the guy was being abused by the lady, and everybody that passed by were laughing at him, and nobody rescued him. And as a result of that, I felt like, okay, men are more abused, and when men are being abused, people just watch things happen. They believe that this guy should be able to marry. They even believe that the way the lady is beating,
so it's less of
not
a man.
even, the guy is not even feeling it. That is even soft, and it will be the lady that will be crying.
Can I add something to it?
Yeah.
See, well, you see, before now, statistics showed that women are the most abused. But now, as a woman, I can tell you that most men today, are victims. Let me use the word, permit me here, of abuse. Because there is a culture, the culture of silence is more on the side of the men. Because, they rarely speak up, because there is this thing on men, there is an expectation on them. Be a man. You should not speak up. You must not hear. You should handle it. You should cope. I am a man. This is a woman. She's not supposed to be dealing. So there is this. The way they put there is this societal belief that a facade of expectation. But the truth is, men have not been fully empowered as much as women have been. I'm a woman, I understand this. So let us get to a point where we value human lives. Whether you're a man or a woman, abuse should be no.
I think using the word victim and survivor, it is someone that has really
escaped it, that becomes a survivor.
Some people are still in it and are still victims.
And even those who are out of it, they are carrying the baggage of the experience. And you expect them to perform in life. No. You see, most of the people we're seeing around us in beautiful clothes, in posh cars, leave the normal people you see by the roadside. They say they live in abuse perpetually. No problem. But the people who are posh, they are carrying loads of baggages, and when they misbehave, you are like, but you've forgotten that this person has an history of abuse. And the truth is, in our line, we say an abuser was once a victim. Let me just use that word. So he did not survive it. So I can't call an abuser or whatever a survivor, because he or she has not been helped. I can only say you are a survivor if you have received, if you spoke up, and you went for necessary help, and then you got justice, and then you were restored back to your normal shape. The truth is, we need to revisit it. Abuse is ongoing, and people do not believe in the system, so they don't report it. They believe if I go to the police, they tell you, na matrimonial matter, na your issue, go settle am. Okay, and you get to the family level, they tell you, you have to cover it up. You want know, why did you allow him or her to do this to you? You get to the meet of your friends, they are laughing at you, but we told you not to marry him or her. And then you are left to yourself. You get to the religious setting, they tell you there are rules.
That is the worst.
It is the head. He is the head.
The religious aspect be submissive.
So
especially
we have,
when they are Christians, they will not say it. They would rather keep quiet, and they would rather even
exactly. And then you have them carrying lots of health hazards, and they are passing it on to the next generation, and the children are learning to become abusive, because that's the environment.
Or to endure abuse.
When you endure a thing, after a long time, it will become a part of you, and then you will exhibit it. So that's the situation we are having around us.
We had an interview with Prudence Abbas, the Community Development Committee Secretary of the Lagos Mainland Local Government, about this matter, and she had some interesting things to tell us about. Let's listen. We'll be back.
We have the police itself. We have cases. I had already said I handled a case whereby I locked up somebody at Mansi, which the commissioner of police is even aware. Whom I got to see my local government chairman here. She spent her money on that case to make sure that justice is brought to book. that is women, using the police. And over there, the community, they built an office for them, community policing. The neighborhood, they have an office, we can go there now. They have an office there. So when it happened, I was called, the case was taken there, and I was called. I had to stand in as human rights because I used to collaborate with them. And whenever they have cases or when I get, they should always come in. And that one, the first time the guy did it, with the help of the neighborhood, we were able to settle it. First time, we repeated it the second time. The third time, we had to come down here to wrap up.
When you say you settle, what do you mean by settlement? How do you resolve and say you settled it and it will happen again? What kind of settlement do you engage in?
You know, there, when I got there, I did tell them that I would take the case to the police. And even the neighborhoods themselves, they kept begging, you know, it's a community. It's from Akwa Ibom. They went to call their community head. All of them were like,
Interested, when she decided to take the case of abuse of a man and his wife, a consistent abuse, to the police, the community rose up and they started begging, which is why I wanted us to listen to that video. We're talking about the religious setting. The community association, now they're talking about the tribal association, so like association of Igbo people or association of Ondo people in Yoruba that community, or no, we're even talking to the like Efik people in that community, you know, because there are many. They have like a lord, you know, amongst them like an elder. They came begging. And they said that case should not go to the police. They should settle it at the neighborhood office there and the local government office. And that was the end of it. But the guy kept abusing the woman. He kept doing it.
An abuser will not stop.
You see, once, if it happened once, if it happened once, okay, it's going to happen.
According to the woman, it happened like 3 times?
It's going to happen again.
Okay.
And that's why they say what you will not accept when you become rich, it is when you are a pauper that you refuse it. And usually we say in relationships, abuse don't just show up. There must have been traces. There must have been red flags. Okay? And I'm still saying it. Value yourself. As I'm sitting here, as a person, I value my life. I can't take anything that has to do with you verbally insulting me or you getting to the point where you raise your hand. It won't even get there. Because as a person of value, I would have made a statement to you by my person that this and this you can't do. So people need to begin to get to a point where you develop yourself as a person. Okay? The abuser will look at you once or twice unless the person is under, you know, an influence. Okay? So we're saying whether for the woman or the man, okay, develop yourself, get knowledge. Okay, get to know that there are policies and there is a place I can go to. Now, when you say somebody should fight for himself, you are also instigating violence. You cannot fight an abuser by yourself. You need to team up. This community policing, when we're watching this, the lady said community policing. The community need to come up with safety measures.
But the community in this case begged the woman, begged the interview.
Because by the time you investigate, you will discover that abuse is a common thing in their midst. And that's why until there is a change.
In this case, in this case, it wasn't the woman that reported. It was somebody else in the community who witnessed the woman escaped outside. The man chased her to the street and beat her outside again to a pub that the woman in question, a man from the community, now reported at the number of the community officer of the Lagos State mainland local government and called Lagos mainland local government and called the woman and said, Prudence, this is happening here. She got there, they said the woman just kept quiet.
She's been, let me use the word, her esteem has been destroyed over time. And that's what we say, that what abuse does to an individual, whether male or female, it punctures your identity, your self-esteem, your self-image, what the value you place on yourself, your self-worth.
It becomes totally non-existent.
Don't accept it. See, what people are afraid of actually is where do I start from? How do I cope? The breakup. The truth is, I tell people that relationship did not start with your life. So relationship or marriage should not end your life. It was your decision to go into it. That's very important. So you can also take a decision to save your life.
In that same situation. Let's talk about ending this silence once and for all. If we will end this silence, what are the steps that the survivor or the victim, in this case, somebody who's still in it, you said is a victim, and somebody who has escaped it. Let's handle survival. You handle the victim. What are the things you think the person can do?
First and foremost, give it the benefit of the doubt that maybe there can be a change. Speak out, seek help. And when you have discovered that there can be a change, I would personally advise that you step aside. Maybe a break can solve the matter, because oftentimes the abuser does not believe that this person can walk away. Will always will continue to do it, believing that this person will not be able to go, probably for one reason or the other. So maybe when you take that step of letting this abuser know that I can walk away, maybe just step aside for a while, and if it is possible and if the person does not change, or you do not see any sign of change, then it's better you
make it permanent,
because it's better you survive. Your life matters more than the relationship, because the society believes that
but you know, we
should not break the home.
No, but the society is also the one that tells you that your survival, your achievement, your personality depends
attached to the relationship.
Is attached to the success of the family.
See, yes, you are correct. But when there is an abuse, you should value. It is when you are alive that you can have all those other things.
They will say Shebi is not violence. What if it's not sexual? What if it's not sexual violence? What if it's not physical violence?
Emotional violence is even worse.
You know, I like to say that I'm not of the opinion that you should always break a relationship or break your marriage. Okay? Give room for counseling, professional counseling. Now, if you have observed a tendency in the other person or even in yourself, okay, walk into, there are all manners of counselors, places you can go to. Now let me finish that line of thought. Walk into it. Let me tell you something. The truth is, every abuser knows himself or herself. It just the pride, the arrogance of subjecting himself to being helped. But the truth is,
what if he doesn't accept that he even needs the help?
No problem. If he doesn't accept, you take responsibility for yourself. Yeah. Cry out. What we're saying is speak up. Cry out and say, we need help. This is because the truth is, I tell you, a lot of people still want their relationships. It's not like they don't want it. It's just the situation, the negative impact of that relationship on them. Even they still want the relationship. Yes. So we're saying the first thing they ask you when you go for help is, do you still want this relationship? Do you both still want it? If you want it, then you need help. For the time being, go apart. Now, people don't understand the miracle of going apart, go separate ways. They think going apart is divorce. No. As far as we are concerned, under the law, there is the provision for judicial separation. And people are not well informed about that. Okay, they believe judicial separation is divorce. It's different. So you talk to a legal advisor, talk to a counselor. They will give you all the options. Then within the time of separation, your eyes would have calmed down. If you truly want this person or not, then there will be a way to think outside the box. But when you are still in that situation, you cannot make a right decision for yourself. So we tell people, don't stay. Don't remain in it. Don't accept it. Give the person some form of space.
I think Wemimo will do us justice by giving us probably a possible contact of how to yes, because people don't know where to go to. Probably
we can even
Lagos
rail out.
State government.
No, we can even rail out. You
Yes.
have the DSRVT office of the Lagos State government.
It's not far from us.
But before I even give you that, we have a video, a spotlight initiative, and a training for media practitioners and for media partners to be able to find out exactly